Welcome back to the Bryan Devore Connection. I'm your host, Bryan Devore. The 3 most common misconceptions about estate planning. Well, you're going to want to know this because they could affect you and your loved ones. So you're here to talk to us today about what she does in estate planning, and those 3 common misconceptions is Sophia Gallardo. Sophia, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you, Bryan. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So you and I met through a mutual friend, John.
Yeah.
We did a program together a couple times, and I've been really impressed with what you do and how you do it. How did you get into law and specifically estate planning law?
Yes, thank you. Likewise, I've enjoyed getting to work with you as well. So I actually went to school on the East Coast. I grew up here in Chula Vista in San Diego, but went to school on the East Coast to study psychology. I thought I wanted to be a clinical or a school psychologist.
Okay.
And probably in my second year, I started noticing I'm not as passionate as my peers. I'm seeing them, raise their hand and, answer questions, and I kind of felt a little bit behind, so I did ask for help and met with my advisor and told her I'm feeling a bit lost. I'm not sure if I can see myself doing this. And so she knew I was from San Diego. She encouraged me to just come and speak to my family, my parents in particular, of what can they see me doing. And that's what I did. And they said law school. And they're like, what about law school? And so thankfully I had the opportunity to shadow an estate planning attorney. She actually worked for herself and had 3 daughters and went to school. And so I saw, she could do it. I want to do that. So I was able to shadow her for a summer, and I was able to incorporate the psychology aspect of getting to know someone's story and then providing them with the legal solution. So setting up their estate plan so that their children are left with a great legacy.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you about that. How do you sprinkle in the psychology aspect of it? But it's fascinating, and it makes a lot of sense because, you're having relationships with these people and understanding where they're coming from, and you must do a lot of sort of analyzing those things so you can help craft the best estate plan for them.
Exactly. I think it also entails the value of compassion. I think a lot of times it can be very easy to just, think of this as documents or just, putting information on paper, but really it's getting to know someone's story and really figuring out where they're at and how we can uphold their intent.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked about 3 misconceptions. There's a lot of misconceptions.
Yes.
We're only going to talk about the top 3 today.
Sure.
And it really centers around the fact that there's a lot of documents involved, a lot of procedure involved. And a lot of people don't even think they need it. So let's talk about that. What's the first most common misconception?
Yeah, well, I think we see it a lot on TV, right? You'll hear we have a will, or grandpa passed away and we're all heirs, and you hear the term will a lot. So unfortunately, a lot of people use the term will and trust interchangeably, which there is a difference between a trust and a will. So at least in California, the trust is going to be that driving document that can allow an individual's family to avoid this court process here known as probate court. So there is a difference. The will alone does not avoid this court process in certain scenarios. So the trust is going to be really that document that allows us to uphold an individual's intent.
Yeah. And estate planning goes well beyond just, I want, Susie to get this clock, and I want Johnny to get this couch.
Yes.
The will are those wishes, but the trust is so much more. And I learned, so much more about that, including medical directives and all those things.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's really a lot of times we're thinking about, what's going to happen when I pass away. But with the trust in place, and even those additional documents are mentioning, like a power of attorney or a healthcare directive, that's where we're seeing incapacity during your life. Who do you want to step in to manage these assets?
Yeah, and that's really that second misconception is it's for death, but it's also for life.
Exactly. Yes. So that's where we're allowing our clients to be in control now when they do have the ability to make decisions. The estate plan's also providing for incapacity. So if doctors declare with medical certainty you can't manage your assets anymore, we want you to name these trustees, these managers, to step in. So not only are we allowing these trustees to step in to administer your trust upon you passing, but to currently manage your assets if you can no longer do that.
Right. And you hear people all the time, I hear this, where one spouse will say, well, I'm the one who gets to make the decisions if he's incapacitated, right? Isn't that what the law is? It's not.
No, unfortunately, that's one of the examples I use with clients, especially with spouses, is right now it can be very easy for a spouse to get on the other line and say, yes, you can speak to my wife, she's authorized. But what happens if that spouse who's on title or who's on the account can no longer make decisions, can't come to the phone? really the institution is going to say, I can't speak to you. I need to see authorization.
Right. So you got to have those documents in place.
Yes.
So that's 2 of the 3. The third one is sort of, I would say, near and dear to my heart, sort of in my world in real estate.
Yes.
People make the mistake of adding heirs to the title on the home. They don't want to do that. Talk about that.
Yes, absolutely. We will get this call a lot from prospective clients saying, I just want to add my child to title. I want them to have it. And unfortunately, when we hear the words just, we're like, oh, we pause a little bit. But unfortunately, that's not that simple. So specifically here in San Diego County in California, we're looking at change in ownership. So with the assessor's office, they're going to look to see which deeds have been filed for which properties. And if there is a change in ownership in their eyes, they can reassess property taxes. And so unfortunately, an owner who's maybe lived there 20, 30 years, they probably have a really low tax rate, property tax rate. So unfortunately, that can go up very high and very quickly and can be very difficult to undo. So kind of one of our recommendations is to speak to an attorney before you're planning to make changes to a deed or a title.
And there's also, when it comes into stepped up basis,
yes.
You know, when someone passes and that could go away, and
exactly.
so you lose the benefit as far as capital gains tax. There's a lot.
Yes, there's a lot there. I know you and I always say we're not the tax professionals.
Right, we can't give tax advice. Right, exactly. But
yeah.
we want to at least introduce the conversation and then recommend talk to a tax professional, because there's so many implications that people, they just have no clue about.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So Sophia is a wealth of information. Her information is on screen, her phone number and her website. She's with McGovern Law Group. Check them out. Learn more about them. And there's a lot more that goes into it than just the 3 things we talked about. Give her a call, learn more. If you need to set up an estate plan, and quite honestly, everyone needs to. I think the rule really is if you're over 18, you need to have an estate plan.
Yes.
Because someone has to make decisions for you.
Exactly.
So thank you for coming today.
Thanks, Bryan. Thanks for having me.
You got it.